Cyprus, a tiny island in the Mediterranean, became independent in August 1960. Its first president was Archbishop Magarios. On the 20th of July 1974, the junta ruling Athens at the time initiated a coup to overthrow Magarios. A week later, Turkey invaded the island with the excuse to protect the Turkish minority. Turkish troops went on to occupy more than a third of Cyprus, forcing 200,000 people to lose their homes and become refugees. Turkish Cypriots, under the leadership of Rauf Denktash, proclaimed a separate state in the northern part of the island. The political issue, despite efforts to solve it, remains virtually frozen since 1974. As a result of the 1974 invasion, 1,619 Greek Cypriots were reported as missing. One of them was my grandfather, Michalis Hadjidaniil. The last place he was seen was the Pavlidis Garage prisons in the Turkish sector in the capital, Nicosia. The Turks had captured him and had not been heard of since then. He had a wife, Panayoda, and 3 children, the eldest being his daughter, Eleni, then his son, Danili. The youngest son is Christakis, my father. For years he had told me about his village, and now, finally, I was going to see it with my own eyes. Assia is a village just east of Nicosia, the capital of Cyprus. When I was little, Assia was just a drawing to me, and my father's house was a speck in the Mid-East. But then in 2002, when the border was open to the Greek Cypriots, I was going to see it for real. I couldn't imagine what was going through my father's mind while we were driving through the village. It had been about 30 years since he and his family were forced to leave. He was in the army when he found out his father and mother had been captured. His mother was later released. He could remember everything and was recalling the houses where the villagers lived.
And the house next, this one is Panayotis' house.
Καλίγονται του Χατζη Χρήστενας, δαμε της Μαΐνας και άμα στρίψεις λίγο από δεξιά από τα τώρα, πάεις προς τη θεία μου η Φωτού.
Then we came to his house.
Είχε αντίκο μπροστά, κοίτα.
It was the first time I had seen my father cry. He wanted to go in. The door was wide open, but he was unsure. Luckily, a Turkish Cypriot neighbour saw us and kindly approached us. He had been living in a nearby village before the war and knew of my grandfather and his family.
Έκαμε και ο Μουκτάριος ο Δημοσθένης στον Τζερόντζιλο. Ο παππούς μου ήταν, ο παππούς μου ο Δημοσθένης ήταν στο Στρογγυλό. Ο παππούς μου ο Χατζηχαναήλης έμεινε στο Δεμουέτο. Πάπα μου να σε πω, έτσι κοντός άνθρωπο και η Δημοσθένη και Χατζηχαναήλος κοντός άνθρωπο. Αμα γιούεστε έτσι μακρύς του. Να μας αφήκουν να μπούμε μέσα, αλλά δεν ξάφει. Τώρα, δεν είχε κανέναν μέσα. Δεν ήθελα να πω και μέσα, αλλά άμα δεν είχε κανέναν.
He asked the wife of the family who lived in the house if we could go in. She accepted. It was almost how I imagined it would be, remembering my father's descriptions. The storeroom, the bedrooms. the living room leading into the garden,
Tutti i posteni υπήρχε. Ήταν και πάνε βάζαμε το σκηνή και κάναμε swing, σούσα. Τα μέσα ήταν, είχαμε τα ζώα. Είχαμε φουλιές πάνω, ήταν γεμάτα πεζούνια. Και τα μέσα ήταν που βάζαμε το τροφή των ζώων, το άχερο.
Then the husband of the family came home and was upset that we had come in. He was threatening us, so we had to leave. We then went on to a little church outside the village called Banaya, which means Mary. The villagers used to celebrate her name on the 25th of March, which is an important religious and historical celebration. We saw that a lot of the walls had been smashed in and church property had been stolen and vandalised. The graveyard held many broken tombstones of names that my father recognised. It was such a sad sight to see that the graves had been vandalised as well.
Σπίτι σου φάνηκε μίτσι?
Σπίτι φάνηκε μου πολλά μίτσι.
Εντάξει, θα μ' άνοιξες να έρθεις που δεν πήγα.
Και είναι αυλή, έμαθα ποδήλατο, έχουν πάρει και μέσα στην αυλή μας. Και ποδήλατο, όχι που άλλη, ποδήλατο με τρεις τροχούς. Ποδήλατο τόσο, ήταν του πατέρα μου, με το τεμόνι στρογγυλό. Και ήμουν έτσι μέσα και έμαθα ποδήλατο μες στην αυλή.
Τώρα και εμείς Παναγίγουμε, το σπίτι μας ήταν τόσο μικρό, ήταν μικρό και είναι αυλή.
Εγώ ήθελα να βρω εμπόρτα το μαχαζενείο. Ίσως είχαμε γραμμένα πράγματα. Αλλάξαντε.
We then visited another one of the local churches, Aios Georgios, where Sunday services were held.
Πόσες φορές μπήκα από την πόρτα.
Again, everything was taken from inside, and the walls and icons had graffiti on.
Και μπαρκόνι πάνω. Και φτιάνναν, και τα σκαλιά και φτιάνναν οι γυναίκες πάνω. Το γυναικών.
That was the end of our first day in Assia. For my father, it was depressing. But we returned the following week. This time we travelled with a bigger group. Friends who shared the same memories as my father and who, like him, moved to England. With them were their children who were about to see Assia for the first time. We walked through the village this time. We managed to see the back of my father's house over a wall. I don't know how he must have felt. It must have been very confusing and upsetting for him to see different people living in this village. Even the name of the village had changed from Assia to Pashakoyu. We passed by the old local shop, the village's main football club, and my great-uncle's house and shop. But there was one building that I found quite ironic, a symbol of the situation between the Turkish and the Greeks. This used to be a Greek Orthodox church, but has been converted into a mosque. The old Orthodox tower is kept up on the right, and the mosque tower is on the left. It can be interpreted in different ways, but I believe there is a hope that there can be peace between them. This was further proved to me when a group of Turkish Cypriots invited us to join them for coffee. We talked of the village, the situation, and how things have changed since the war. I understand that there is still a lot of bitterness today concerning the events of 1974. And of course, it would be difficult to forgive and forget. But to resolve the situation and to allow the future generation to live peacefully would be far better than having history repeat itself. We all then said our goodbyes with the hope that we will see better days. I felt that we had all taken a big step forward. Είναι πάνω από 30 χρόνια και ακόμη η κατάσταση παραμένει αλήτη. Για τον πατέρα μου και τον καθένα που επηρεάστηκε από τον πόλεμο, ξέρω ότι το παρελθόν πληγώνει ακόμη. Οι κακές μνήμες θα παραμείνουν ακόμα, αλλά ενδεχομένως σύντομα θα υπάρξει μια θετική και ειρηνική λύση. Πρέπει να υπάρξει.